Hey everybody, welcome back to the Find Your Flow channel, and I hope that you're all doing well. And in today's video, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about immunity and how it relates to stress and our feelings of well-being. This week, I released and launched a new online course on a website called flowspa.ca, and I hope that you all go check that out. I know a lot of us are feeling very stressed and spiraling out of control a lot with being stuck at home, feeling cooped up. And so something I wanted to do to try to contribute and help in any way that I could was create a quick and easy challenge week on a few of the key factors that come into mind when it comes to well-being. And so the topic of today's video expands on one of the topics from the challenge week, which in day 2, I talk about stress management. And something that's tied really into stress is the immune system and its function. So in the course, I mostly talk about the relationship of stress to the immune system. And today I want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit more about that immune aspect of it so that you can stay healthy and avoid getting sick at this time. So first up, a quick overview of what you'll learn if you join in on the free challenge week on the Flow Academy website is the relationship of stress to the immune system. Now, stress actually to some extent helps to bolster our immune system, but as it goes over, there's a bit of a curve. It reaches a peak somewhere around a moderate level of stress, which is known as eustress because it's actually this beneficial amount of stress that helps our body become more resilient to greater doses of stress. But what happens is as we continue along that curve of more and more stress and it becomes more chronic in our life, and that's where things start to spiral out of control as far as negatively impacting the immune system with stress. So one of the things I did talk about in the course in day 2 on stress management is getting lots of antioxidants in your diet right now is important for that stress mitigation effect. But it's also another thing that's important to keep in mind for the immune system. And so I want to touch on nutrition first as the first thing that you can really focus on in terms of how you can help to improve your immune system right now. So the main component of an immune boosting diet is really consuming lots of water-rich foods, and that includes vegetables and fruits. Also, make sure that you are keeping on top of your water intake on a daily basis. You want to keep as much fluid in your system because it ties into our lymphatic system, which is one of the key components of our immune system that helps to transport those immune cells that fight off illness and infection. And so that's one of the biggest things that you can do as far as nutrition goes to boost up your immune system at this time. There are other things as far as diet goes that's going to make a big difference on your immune function. Most of it comes from eating natural whole foods and also things that are just vitamin and mineral rich. Organ meat's one of the best things that you can consume for getting a high dose of certain vitamins and minerals, particularly the ones that are included or incorporated into our immune system. So that's one thing that you can also be sure to focus on right now. A lot of people are turning more so to the quick, easy processed foods, but we do have that time on our hands for most of us to actually spend some time in the kitchen, look at what you can do to make foods that are exciting and interesting to you with all those natural ingredients and whole food sources. So then the next thing that's really important is exercise. Moving our bodies actually helps to keep that lymphatic system going, which I mentioned is a main driver of our immune function. And it's also something that's just going to help to regulate that stress and just boost up everything. People that exercise more tend to get sick less. And so there is that correlation we know. And it seems to be in part because there is an immune boosting effect from regular exercise. And so you can get started right away in week 1 of the challenge week on the Flow Academy is all about exercise and movement. So if you click on into the link in the description, you can go and get started with that content right away. And then the next main thing you can do for immune function is getting enough sleep and making sure that your sleep quality is topped up. One of the easiest ways to get sick is if you don't get enough sleep for what your body needs. We know that people that are undercutting the amount of sleep that they're getting just have weaker immune systems. It's something that happens as a result of not getting that super important sleep. And so make sure that you're getting, it could be between 7 and 9 hours a night. You'll have to do a little bit of trial and error if you're not used to kind of dialing in your sleep. Most of us do have the chance to sleep a bit more right now, as long as we're not doing things like binge watching YouTube at the end of the night. Then make sure you're getting to bed on time and really taking care, prioritizing that sleep. If you are watching any screens towards the end of the night, you can try using blue light blocking glasses, or also a lot of our devices have blue light filters on them. And so turn those on so that you're not getting as much of that blue light towards the end of the day and at night when your brain and your body's trying to wind down. It'll make sleep that much easier to fall asleep and stay asleep, as you're not blocking that melatonin production going into your sleep. And then the final thing I want to touch on, which is a little bit different than what you may be used to hearing in terms of immune function and boosting your immune system. Not necessarily going to boost it, but it's definitely going to mitigate some risk on your immune system. Right now, we can't afford to get sick in any way as long as we can prevent it. And so something to keep in mind is around food safety. Now, we know everybody's recommending, wash your hands frequently. This is very important before eating or preparing a meal, but also keep in mind the food that you're eating itself and whether it's safe for your body. So in terms of reducing your risk of foodborne illness, or also making sure that you're eating foods that aren't going to have any gastrointestinal distress on you. These two things can make a big difference in your immune function. For one, when it comes to foods that don't sit well with you, and if you've got a lot of GI distress, or if your body's taking a lot of effort to process things because it kind of makes you sick, like things like a gluten intolerance, for example, or if you've got like a lactose intolerance, that kind of food going into your system is actually a stress that's going to impact where that energy and the resources your body have are focused on. And so do whatever you can to reduce that risk of uncomfortable foods in your system, and then also reduce your risk of foodborne illness. So make sure that you're cooking foods to the correct temperature and avoid those higher risk foods like raw meats at this time, so that you're not getting or exposing yourself to that increased risk of foodborne illness, because that's going to also impact your immune function. When you've got like a foodborne illness, you're at risk of also getting sick because your immune system and everything in your body is trying to combat two battles at once. So keep that in mind as well. It's one of the things that I recommend often to strongman athletes that I'm coaching in the final days leading up to their competitions, is to eat those foods that sit really well with them and don't cause any gastrointestinal distress, but also avoid those higher risk foods when it comes to meals prior to competition. So this includes avoiding foods like sushi or undercooked meat in the few days leading up to a competition, so that there's no risk of getting a foodborne illness or anything that's going to impact their digestion and their ability to refuel prior to a competition. And it goes the same right now. Not only do we want to avoid the hospitals as much as possible to reduce that burden on our healthcare system, we don't want to do anything or consume anything that's going to put us at an increased risk of illness. So keep that in mind. So those are 4 things that are in your control to boost your immune system and mitigate any risk to getting sick at this time. And remember to go and sign up for the Flow Academy Challenge Week to level up your wellness at home even more. If you found this information helpful, hit that like button and remember to subscribe to the channel for updates. It really helps to make a difference on getting this information out to more people. And until next time, dream on and find your flow.